New developments in a story you first saw right here on WUSA9. You may remember this. We showed you these bullhorns blaring outside homes as early as 7 a.m. and demonstrators banging drums on the street, which some say is scaring young children. And now, after months of exclusive reporting by WUSA9, the D.C. Council has banned those early morning and late night protests.
Yeah, so neighbors say this has gone well beyond free speech. Our chief investigative reporter, Eric Flack, was following this from the very beginning. And we know a lot of those neighbors, Flack, you profiled, are really breathing a sigh of relief tonight, I imagine.
Yeah, can y'all imagine waking up to that or trying to go to sleep to it, you know? But the issue actually sparked some pretty serious debate within D.C. Council about balancing free speech with residential peace. In D.C.'s Calorama neighborhood, it was protesters blaring megaphones starting at 7 a.m. outside the Chinese ambassador's residence, right next to a park and dozens of family homes. In the typically quiet Barnaby Woods neighborhood in Northwest, pro-Palestinian protesters bang drums and chant loudly first thing in the morning and late at night outside the home of a State Department spokesperson. After months of community complaints first brought to light by a WUSA9 investigation, D.C. Council has now made permanent restrictions on residential protests like those, passing the Residential Tranquility Act Tuesday.
This is a really important problem and challenge. We had situations where houses were targeted early in the morning, a lot of noise, a lot of threatening, menacing behavior, including when children were getting ready to go to school.
The legislation prohibits sound amplifying devices like megaphones in residential areas before 9 a.m. and after 7 p.m. D.C. Council approved an emergency temporary ban on the residential overnight protests after WUSA9's initial reporting.
We have had this law in place since October, which gives us 8 months of data to see how it has worked, and there have been 0 arrests, because the police need this tool to say, hey, everybody, time to disperse, time to move on.
The law carries penalties of up to 90 days in jail and fines for repeated violations. And that concerns council members Brianne Nadeau and Zachary Parker, who both voted against the bill.
I've been against this proposal when it was an emergency. I'm against it now. At a time when we should all be concerned about attacks on free speech, I just worry that this moves us in the wrong direction.
Now keep in mind, regular daytime demonstrations remain unaffected by these new laws, even in neighborhoods. The president of the Sheridan Calorama Neighborhood Council told me just a couple hours ago, we hope this legislation strikes the right balance between the legitimate right of people to protest and the right of residents to enjoy their homes. Guys.
I suppose if you had to live with that day in and day out, you might have a different perspective.
Yeah, it's a tough line. Nuisance behavior versus free speech.
Especially in these times.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
All right, Flack, thank you.